Welcome to our next episode of The Rhythm Guys. Hi, guys.
Welcome back.
Out there. Glad to be here. And today we're going to talk about a subject that's dear to my heart, and that is really discovering different grooves that the rhythm section has to play, especially in a kind of a jazz context. So we're going to get to that right after this break, so we'll be right back.
Come see the Rhythm Guys live at the Studio 770 Open Mic in Brea, California on Tuesday, September 11th from 7 to 10 p.m. Details can be found at the link on your screen. You can get 50% off the door fee by using the promo code TRGSeptember.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. So we're talking today about the different grooves that a rhythm section has to be able to play, especially in a jazz context. So we're going to go around and talk each individually about our instruments. Again, Isaac Sanchez, Sam Montooth. Sam Montooth is a bassist. Isaac is a drummer, and I'm Ron Kobayashi. I'm a pianist. And if you, by the way, missed any of our other episodes, you can find them on therhythmguys.com. So please search there for the other subjects that we've been talking about. But today, again, it's really about the grooves that a rhythm section has to come up with and be able to play authentically to, again, really accompany whomever you're accompanying, whether it's a vocalist or a big band or just maybe a horn section or a horn player. We've, as a rhythm section, have really got to know some of the basic grooves that we need to play. And generally, now there are many grooves, right? But I think the basic 5 grooves you need to know are the swing groove, which so much of jazz is based on, the Brazilian grooves, which includes bossa nova and samba, and then salsa grooves, Afro-Cuban grooves, and funk grooves. And outside of those 5, there are many others. There are many subdivisions of that, but I think that's kind of the broad topic we want to talk about tonight. So I'll talk in a little bit about the keyboard's role and all of that, but Isaac?
Yeah, I was very fortunate, maybe about 16, 17 years ago, to audition into a band, a 5-piece band, where the lead player was playing anything piano-wise. It was a Brazilian band, Brazilian and Latin stuff. He would play it on his classical guitar. Marcos Durakos, we've been playing a little bit together recently again. And so I auditioned, and they were playing legitimate Latin grooves and styles, and everything to me before that. If it was Latin, I'd play a samba. That's all I knew, or bossa. And so, but I didn't know these other styles that were coming up, and I couldn't cut those at that point. But after that experience, I learned more of that. So in high school and college, I was doing the Latin stuff, the bossa, the samba, but I never was taught anything more in depth from that. So I was very fortunate, just we all have our different experiences, to get thrown into the fire with that band, and learn. They were very patient with me, and I learned that stuff. Some a whole other independence exercises, doing a lot of listening, and then was able to add that to my bag of tricks. And it was after that I realized, my goodness, what was I doing before? Because it just felt great to be able to play much more authentically. And I'm not an authentic player of those styles by any means, but I think, like you're saying, you have to, if we say you have to know how to fake it, not in a negative sense, but you have to know the style so that, right, absolutely. Now, if be believable. That's a great way to put it. So if some, crazy, authentic salsa band came in, I'd be out of my element, I would be able to learn some parts based on what I've been taught before, but that's not my niche right there. But yes, I can make them believe it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of came at it from the same way, where the biggest way I've learned the different styles is just by being thrown into it. If someone says, "Hey, can you play in my band?" and you want to, you say yes, and then they go, "Oh, by the way, we do this style," and you're like, okay. And then you show up and you do your best. And if you're earnest about it and the band, is a good band to work with, they're going to help you. I was very lucky when I got into college. I was in the jazz band, but a lot of the guys at the school, there's a pretty huge Latino community, and they had a salsa band, and I got asked to be in the salsa band. So I got to play in the salsa band for a while, and it was a blast. But those first few months were just, I worked my butt off because I thought I knew what it was. Like you said, when you start as a bass player, you hear, you learn your bossa nova line.
Right.
Dum dum, dum dum, dum dum, dum, and it's dum dum, dum dum. Anyway, so you do that forever, and you think, well, I can play any rhythm. No, you get in a salsa band, and then all of a sudden you learn what all the other stuff is, like tumbao and all the actual grooves that you need to know, and how to pick up cues from the percussion players. All those type of things are kind of high level. But I got thrown in this deep end, and after a few months of practicing with a metronome and learning it, then I started to feel comfortable with it. And I mean, half the time I was like, "Where's one?" And it's great when you finally conquer that and you feel comfortable with it, and it becomes a dance, especially for Latin music. If you're not dancing while you're playing, you're not playing. And just understanding those type of things. But I think my main point is, learning different styles really does rely on the kindness and friendliness of your other band members, because you're going to be in a situation when you learn something new that everybody else knows more than you, and if you're lucky, they will be willing to share with you and teach you. And for every style I've learned as a bass player, there's been somebody there who has told me what my job is. Even in jazz, when I started playing jazz, I was really lucky to have a mentor who was a pianist, and he told me what to do and told me what a bass player should do, and why some of the choices I was making weren't really cohesive to creating a solid rhythm section. Like, hey, you're doing this thing over there, but what we need you to do is this. Those type of people are really important in your musical journey, and when you want to learn a new style, finding somebody who is willing to help you is really, really important.
Hire a teacher.
You
might not be as lucky as Sam to have just kind people showing you, but take the effort to go out and seek out an educator who can teach you privately, perhaps, these different styles. Really, really important. And I really want to stress, all of you out there, open your minds up and listen to as many different styles of music as you can. I came from a jazz background. I was known as the jazz snob throughout my youth. I wouldn't listen to anything but Count Basie and Oscar Peterson. However, I've learned through the years that limits you. If you're thrown into a situation where you have to play a different style of music, if that's the only type of music you've listened to, you're at a real disadvantage. So listen to funk music, listen to Brazilian music, listen to salsa. Obviously listen to swing and all the great swing players, but also listen to heavy metal and hip hop and everything. Open your mind up to everything, so you at least have an idea of what your role as a rhythm section player is in every one of those genres. And YouTube is a perfect place to discover all that, because just about any style of music you can possibly dream of is on somewhere on YouTube. So search those genres and listen away to as many styles as you possibly can. Super important. Especially, I have to say, as a working musician or working in studios like we do, to know those different styles, and like you say, to be believable in those different styles. If you want to work, you've got to know how to at least be believable for that period in time that you're called to play whatever genre you're called to play. So
diversify your skill sets. That is super important. And I wanted to build on what he said about getting a teacher. We're very lucky. We live in Southern California. Some of you might not live near LA, where many of the recording artists are, or in New York, where those two cities tend to have the top guys in their game there. And you're going to want to, feel like, oh, well, I'm nowhere near my hero who he lives in LA, or, that's okay. Skype was invented for a reason. And you can talk to your hero tonight. Go email them, say, hey, I would like to take a lesson. Find the best person you know of in that genre that you want to learn and contact them. most musicians I know are not averse to teaching a lesson for money, and and they want to teach too. A lot of them have that pay it forward attitude more than you would think. And so don't be afraid to reach out, because that's a great way to do it. Not to toot our own horns, but we're all educators. You can feel free to contact us.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to talk to us, we can point you in the right direction too. We'd be happy to send you to somebody who knows. Like, if you're a sax player, we might not be the people to talk to, but we can point you in the right direction. But yeah, don't be afraid of that. Private lessons are incredibly valuable. Taking from different teachers, also incredibly valuable. Don't just take from one person and only listen to that person. Okay, that was a total tangent.
Good tangent.
But there you go.
Yeah. What I was going to say was that, on what Ron was talking about also, and we've been saying about, the different styles, the 5 that Ron mentioned. Listen, if you're going to want to go into one main style, then you need to dig into that. If you're going to be a salsa player, then you better just dig into that. But if you're going to be well-rounded, don't be afraid that you're not going to know every detail about clave or whatnot.
Right.
Listen, if someone's going to hire you for something Latin and they've heard you, they're probably hiring you because they've heard you before. They're not taking a chance on you to pay you money and they don't know what they're getting.
Yeah.
So if they call you, they've heard you and they know I'm going to get the Latin I want. But if it's a hardcore Latin band, I promise you they're not going to call you because they've heard already, who they want and they've researched the musicians that they want. But, this is advice for those of you who want to have a wide range of playing in the studio and out. You do need to learn the different styles, that believable part. I love that. Believability is crucial, but don't be afraid that you don't know everything and you're not going to take a gig. I promise you, if Los Van Van calls me, I'm going to tell them, you didn't do your research. I'm not the guy, or some other Isaac Sanchez, because I don't know the stuff that deep. But we've certainly all played every one of the styles that Ron's mentioned, and then some, we've played in the studio, and it's been more than believable. We have a longer history of playing, so there's some experience behind that. But don't be afraid to not know everything when you're trying to learn the different styles at a time. Just kind of keep digging.
Yeah.
Our picks after this, and so please stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Before we get to our picks, I just want to mention that the last segment we talked about the grooves, and what we plan to do in the future is really get into some of the details of those grooves. We mentioned the funk groove and the salsa, and then the Brazilian and swing. And some of you may be wondering, well, what are those? We plan episodes to actually go into depth and play for you, hopefully.
We actually play these instruments.
Yeah, we have some instruments to play for you to demonstrate all those groups. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's talk about our picks. Sam?
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is we were talking about different grooves. So for me, I recently had a gig where I was playing some calypso and island and some Latin music, and there was a particular rhythm that I didn't quite understand. We were doing a rumba, which has a particular clave, but it was a backwards clave. It was like a 2-3 instead of a it's 3-2 instead of a 2-3 rumba, which I wasn't familiar with. So my awesome percussionist friend Amanda Duncan recommended this app to me, and it is the most awesome app ever. It's called The Clave, and all it is every style of clave, and each one is reversible.
Oh, geez. So
you can practice whatever style of clave. Now, if you don't know what clave is, we'll get into that later in one of the episodes where we drill down on Latin music. But the clave is the heartbeat for all Latin music, and each one is unique to that style or that dance that it comes from. So this particular rumba had this one beat, and basically she sent me this app, and I was like, this is amazing, and I got to practice my line with it, and I'd worked out this bass line that worked with that line. And all of a sudden I owned that rhythm. Once I got to practice with that metronome doing it, and there's a difference between a metronome and a actual clave beat. And to really get the feel of playing Latin music, the heartbeat should be the clave, not just click, 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 click. So it really helped me. So it's just a great thing. And for me, it was great to learn a different Latin beat that I didn't know before. And there's several more on there that it's just amazing. And it's like $2 worth every penny. So anyway, it's called the Clave. I believe it's only available on iOS. So I'm sorry, Android people, but you can look at mine if you want. Okay, that's my pick.
Cool. My pick is, again, along with the topic that Ron was talking with us about today, all the different styles, is a book called Survival Guide for the Modern Drummer, a Crash Course in All Musical Styles for Drum Set. Looks something like this, if you go look at that. It's by Jimmy Riley. Jimmy's the drummer for Rascal Flatts. And this is a great book, though. It's got audio for it. And he does a great job going through all the styles, authentically. So, yeah, country drummer, but if you just even listen to an interview, and I've listened to a couple of his, he's got his education behind him in all these styles. So it's a good example of knowing all the different styles. And he lays it out here. This is this book is an award-winning book up in like drum circles now. Like it's kind of risen to some of the more classical ones very quickly. So if you read, this is beautiful because all the examples are there. But if you're not a reader, get a teacher, learn to read. It'll help you. But there's audio there also. So you can not only listen to the styles that he's talking about, but then there's also play-alongs also for that. So great thing. And let me just say this real quick before I hand it off to Ron. When some of these apps and things, hey, listen, we're all about free. If it's free, it's for me. That's great. But the other thing, too, is I wish someone would have mentioned to me as I was a younger musician is that, hey, if you're trying to go for the long haul, you need to stop thinking about spending money and think of it as investing in your craft. It's really a mindset. So, hey, young person, that you just got your job and you want to spend on everything else. We're giving you stuff that has helped us in a real way. Not, hey, I heard about this thing. It's stuff that we've used. And so we'd love for you to kind of have that mindset that you're investing into your own learning and then share it with other people too.
And it supports the people that created those items because that's super important because tools that are created for you are worth something.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that we can show that is worth something is money in this particular world. So, support the artists, support the developers who create these things for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, the same way you pay someone for your instrument, you should pay for your knowledge. It's totally worth it. I mean, if you can get a deal, get a deal. But it supports the system that supports you. And that's super important. I mean, I can go on a rant forever about that. I'm going to stop now. There you go.
Absolutely, I agree. There are so many books out there in music stores and now on the internet of authors who have really taken all these grooves and analyzed them and made them understandable for you as a beginner or as an intermediate student to understand what those grooves are. So please pick up those books. But my picks are free. And what they are, and I want you to go to YouTube and write these names down. For swing, if you want to hear what a really authentic swing groove is, please look up and watch and listen to Count Basie, the Count Basie Band. That's the epitome to me of swing. Listen to the way they lay back behind the beat and what's happening in the rhythm section. All of that stuff, the walking bass, the drums with the swing rhythms, those are all laid out with the Count Basie Band. So look it up on YouTube. For salsa, Eddie Palmieri, wonderful salsa legend, pianist, and type in Eddie Palmieri, look up his videos on YouTube and study it. Listen to it, absorb it. For Brazilian music, Jobim is the quintessential Brazilian composer. So Jobim is spelled Jobim. Look that name up on YouTube. And for funk, of course, James Brown, the father of funk, or Tower Power. The great band Tower Power that's just celebrating their 50th anniversary. Tons of, and you can go see them live. YouTube videos. Check out what each rhythm section player is playing. Study it, try to emulate it, and I think that's the best way of really learning these different grooves.
Yeah.
Along those lines, a friend of mine told me everything you need to know about music is what you hear. So reading and stuff is great, but if you don't listen, you're never going to know how it goes. And just, listening to a record is going to teach you way more. And listening actively, to a record is going to teach you more than reading a book. I'm not discounting a book by any means, but you got to know what it sounds like
Yeah,
and what it
that's
feels
for sure.
like.
This
So
is an
glad
oral
that
art. Oral
Yeah.
meaning hearing art.
Yeah.
You've got to listen, and
Yeah.
you've got to hear what it's supposed to sound like in order to be halfway authentic.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Well, I think that wraps it up. So, if anybody has any comments about anything we've said, anything you'd like to add, anything we've left out, please feel free to contact us. We have email on therhythmguys.com, and keep in touch there. Our episodes will be up there. So, yes.
You want to comment on my
Oh,
hat?
and yeah, if you want to
He's
comment
still wearing this hat.
on Isaac's
Picking
hat,
on my hat. I wear my cool hat and I get picked on.
I always wear a hat, and I
Let
didn't
us
bring
know.
mine because I thought
Exactly.
this was a high class thing, and so I took it off to show deference to you, the viewer.
And I come.
And this is what it does.
No
I like
comments on
it.
that.
I like it.
Also, he's got the soul patch, and we didn't
Yeah,
do
so,
that.
if I take off the hat, I gotta
Right.
shave this.
Yeah, it's a package deal.
Branding.
You know,
All right, sorry to interrupt. You were trying to wrap it up, and I interrupted
All
you.
right.
So any
Trying to
comments are welcome, please, and we'd love to hear from you. So we'll see you on the next episode. Good night.